For those who missed it over the holidays, the Has Been Hotel Twitter account put out a tweet with a special Christmas promotional image that included a new character in heaven named Abel. Already, the fandom is fired up with theories, so let's go into the real-life biblical story of Abel and the weird folktales that exist about him and his brother Cain. My name is ImpCut, welcome back to Cartoon Universe, and if you're feeling a little gay today, consider buying one of our tragically gay childhood t-shirts, complete with feathers and a royal crown to remind you of one of your favorite characters. Link in the pinned comment down below. Now, it makes sense to introduce the character of Abel in Season 2, as Season 1 ended with the death of Adam. For those who don't know, in the Bible, Adam and Eve are the first two humans created by God, and they give way to the first two sons, Cain and Abel. Cain is a farmer and Abel is a shepherd, with God favoring the animal sacrifices of Abel over the produce sacrificed by the older brother Cain. Because of this, Cain becomes jealous and kills his brother Abel, making him the first murderer in biblical history, and also marking the first human death. Cain goes on to live, with God even giving him a mark of protection that curses anyone that might attack Cain for 7 generations. But Abel dies without any sons, and Adam and Eve have to come together again in order to create their third son, Seth, as well as other brothers and sisters. Seth is the first in the line that would eventually lead to Noah, who is said to be the ancestor of all peoples today, as the patriarchal survivor of the flood with his sons. Now, for those who haven't seen it, our previous video goes into how Lucifer takes on the role of the fallen angel known as Samael in Jewish Kabbalah. In texts like the 12th century Zohar, Samael is known as the fallen angel who marries Lilith, and who rides upon a serpent to give the fruit of forbidden knowledge to Adam and Eve. Essentially the same story of Lucifer in the show, with Lucifer in real life just being a Christian term used to explain the same trend in Jewish mythology. Now, in the Bible, Cain and Abel are both just said to be the sons of Adam and Eve, but in the Zohar, it says that Samael, or Lucifer to Christians, actually impregnated Eve before Adam, leading to the birth of Cain. With so much inspiration coming from the Zohar already for Lucifer's character, it makes sense that they would continue to use this tradition and make Cain the son of Lucifer, but we don't know if that's actually true. Check out the previous video if you haven't already for more on that theory, because today I want to address some of the other theories that I've seen floating around in the fandom. First, there's the theory that Abel himself is not the son of Adam, but instead is actually the son of Lucifer, as they do have some resemblance, especially with their similarly colored hair. Now, there is no lore of Abel being influenced by the serpent or fallen angel, so this wouldn't really make sense from real-life mythology in any way, but that doesn't mean they couldn't just go their own direction with all of this. That being said, it just seems like a weird turn, and instead, I think that Abel and Adam's similar body type is evidence enough that they are actually related. And with Adam now dead, I think Abel's going to want revenge. Now, in the Bible, not much is said about Abel after his death, but in the book of Enoch that deals largely with the story of fallen angels, Abel is mentioned as actually being in Sheol, which is sort of a universal afterlife where all souls await their final judgment. Here, despite being in one of the peaceful sections of Sheol, Abel cannot find peace, and he is portrayed as making the argument against the entire line of Cain before God, unable to move on until his entire line is destroyed from the face of the earth. In the later testament of Abraham, Abel is also guarding the gates of heaven, deciding who is worthy of getting let in. Right now, there is a big mystery surrounding what actually causes someone to go to heaven or hell, as we want to think it's based on whether or not someone is a good person, but so far there's no evidence that this is the case. And though Abel may not have been appointed by Sarah to have any actual say over who gets into heaven and who gets into hell, as one of the first souls in heaven alongside Adam, he, or maybe even the both of them, may be the reason that some of these people are going to hell, with their views of other people being lesser than them actually influencing them going to hell instead. Like in the book of Enoch, he can be holding a grudge against his brother and making it so that no one from the line of Cain can ever make it into heaven. However, in the actual Bible, Cain's descendants are generally understood as being wiped out by the Great Flood, with everyone alive today being descended from Noah, though it's uncertain how accurate Vivzipop will be to the Bible. Next, one thing people wanted me to talk about was, with Abel being in heaven, it makes sense that Cain himself might be in hell, even if not all of his descendants are, and because of that, some fans think that Cain might be a character we've already met. Because of that, the most common name given so far is Zestiel, the mysterious overlord in the Pride Ring, who we see interacting with Alistair at the Overlord's meeting in episode 3. Zestiel is described by Alistair as being ancient, indicating he may very well actually come from a deep part of humans' history. And that's assuming he was ever human to begin with instead of predating them. Overlords are often human, but from what I understand, this is not a requirement for that title, and Zestial looks like he could be from a similar family as the Von Eldridge family, who we were told early on are natural-born entities of hell who rose to power above the regular native species and the sinners. Zestial and the Von Eldridge family tend to have Lovecraftian or Eldritch inspiration in their design, though the two differ in that Zestial is very spider-themed and the Von Eldridge family seem to have more of a deep-sea monster theme going for them, with the son of the family, Sephiathan, being named similarly to the recently revealed sin of envy, Leviathan. If Zestial is an earthborn sinner and an ancient one, it makes sense that he might have been the first soul to actually manifest in hell, and since then he could have been building his power upwards with soul deals that have made him one of the most powerful figures in hell today. Some fans are also citing the fact that some sinners seemingly kill themselves or just outright die when they see Zestial. When walking with Alistair, most of the sinner's civilians run in fear from Zestial, with some just watching from a safe distance, but one demon outright sets himself on fire. Another simply swings around and seems to at least pass out, but he may have just died looking at the way he rolls over like this. Some fans want this to be a side effect of the Mark of Cain that God gave to Cain after he murdered Abel. God's punishment for Cain was that he was to be a wanderer of the earth, but with Cain fearing he might be killed by another person, God gave him this special mark that would bring 7 times vengeance on anyone who tried to kill him. Some fans want to interpret the people running in fear and even killing themselves as a side effect of this mark, causing people to run away in fear that if they are somehow even just a threat to Zestial, they might end up doing something like lighting themselves on fire. That being said, with this Lovecraftian theme, it seems more likely to me that Zestial just drives people insane. In the works of Lovecraft, eldritch deities are so ancient and often so large that their purpose goes far beyond what humans can even understand, and it is common for characters to be driven insane just by the mere sight of an actual eldritch demon. They could, of course, be combining these ideas, something the Helliverse seems to really enjoy doing, but I think it's more likely that Zestial was a character with his own plans, instead of part of the bigger biblical story that's being weaved into the show. It would be a pretty cool reveal, however, and I would love to meet a Cain figure like Zestial, just an ancient sinner who maybe isn't even an overlord to this day, perhaps hiding in the shadows. Finally, some fans think that Cain isn't in hell and isn't even dead at all, instead being a wanderer of the earth still. This comes from the idea that Cain's punishment as a wanderer was meant to be an eternal punishment. And unlike Adam and his descendants through Seth, Cain and his descendants don't have any particular dates given for their deaths. Cain being a living wanderer isn't just something of a folk tradition, but something that's also appeared in media before, including apparently the series Supernatural, though there aren't a lot of ways for Cain on Earth to actually be relevant to the show. Hazbin Hotel is very much about heaven versus hell, so having Cain stuck on Earth as a wanderer when Abel is being brought in as an important figure in the story doesn't really make sense to me, with the only exception I can think of being that he's the one helping demons influence the Earth. The corruption of the humans is something more explored in Hell of a Boss, where we see that the native species and elites are influencing the Earth to control it, seemingly leading to even more sinners in hell. Cain is a figure associated with the corruption of people, being seen as influenced by the serpent when not just outright being his descendant. Despite his curse to be a wanderer, Cain would go on to found the first city, and was generally seen as building the bigger cultures before the flood that were said to dominate the world through continued violence, similar to how Cain dominated Abel through murder. It would be cool if Cain was some human but immortal figure who was constantly infiltrating governments and important systems in order to change it in a way that is being guided by some corrupt demon, perhaps Satan, or even the mysterious character Rue that has only been revealed in Vivzipop's Twitter posts, who many fans want to think is actually the root of evil beyond all of hell. But for more information on that, check out our previous video on Rue, or if you haven't seen it yet, check out our giant, nearly 2-hour-long video we made breaking down the Helliverse iceberg conspiracy charts, going way into the history of the two shows and their real-life inspirations. Let me know your theories for how Cain may factor into the show in the comments down below, and don't forget to check out the Cartoon Universe shop with our Weird as Hell t-shirts. See you guys there. Man, I do love running, especially when it's away from women who are madly in love with me. But one thing I never run from is another man. Well, 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 if it isn't my arch rival, Racer Rabbit. Shady the Bat, you're here for the magic crystal as well?